Welcome to Networking Arizona with host Carol Blonder. You'll hear interviews with businesses located throughout the valley. Networking, it makes a difference.
So welcome to the show. Everyone, it's so beautiful out there. And as I like to say, it's a great day for networking. And as everybody knows, I made it possible for everybody to be able to talk about themselves. Who doesn't like to talk about themselves? And you can do it right here on the radio. Give us a call here at the station. They'll get you connected with me and get yourself heard on Networking Arizona. Our number here is 602-277-5369. And toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. I'm going to go in right with my first guest. I have Mike Colvin. Mike, you are the owner of Dimension 5 Productions. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Carol. It's nice to be here. I'm the first-time guest to the show, though I've run it a few times.
Yeah, let's say that you've been here on KFNX, with KFNX for many, many, many years, and now you're the owner of this Dimension 5 Productions. Tell us a little bit about what that is and what you do.
Okay, so I don't know, a few years back, I had a concept of kind of not just being a videographer and not just, being a guy that shoots video, but being a storyteller.
Thank you.
And within that realm, I kind of come up with a concept for Dimension 5 where we're not just going to shoot what you want. We're not going to come in and we're not going to do static shoots. We're not going to do, shooting for the sake of shooting. We're going to come in and we're going to tell people's stories, the story of people, products, or businesses. And everything has a story. So the way we're doing it, it's more of a cinematic feel. I mean, there's definitely a beginning, middle, and end to it. It has the three-act setup, but it could basically explain anything.
So, okay, let's figure out, when you said people,
products, or businesses,
so
which
that
is more
means,
your services,
right? So when you say services, what would be that typical client, and what would be their type of story?
Okay, well, let's say you're a small business owner, and I don't know, let's try to think of an example, I guess. Let's say you're a radio show host that deals with networking.
Okay, let's say that.
That's the service that you offer. So what we would do is we would come in and we'd create an explainer video that explains that service. Now, it's not enough just to explain, all right, you're going to be on the radio, you're going to talk to Carol for 15 minutes to a half hour. That's not enough. Okay, what people really want to know within these explainer videos, who is Carol? How'd Carol get her start? Who else has been on the show? There's a whole story there to tell. And that's usually done in a documentary style. And that is what I would call a service explainer video. So you're not just explaining the general service, you're telling the whole story from beginning to end. Or
that's
beginning
cool.
to present, anyway.
So a service explainer video.
Right.
I love that. Okay, so in terms of a person, obviously, what would there be? Well,
that can range from anything. I'll use a wedding video as an example. We offer wedding services. Now, a wedding's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and a wedding by itself is its own story. Okay, the setup. What did you do to get ready? How did you get ready? Who was there when you got ready? What were the stories being told?
How did you meet?
Well, that's another video altogether. But the wedding itself, from conception till the end,
just the whole event.
Yeah, that's a story, and I want to tell that story. So how I do that with weddings is I use a 5-scene setup. Your first scene is basically a music montage of everybody getting ready, important things the mother might say to a bride, just that whole process from both sides, from both the groom and the bride's standpoint, which a lot of people focus just on the bride. But if you're going to tell the whole story, there's two sides of that story.
Sure.
There's two families in that story. You have to include all that. So that first scene would be that kind of getting ready, and even a little bit of the planning, and it's all done in montage style. Everybody knows what a montage is. It's, famous 80 movies. The second scene is a little more kind of involved. It's the bride and the mother. It's the stories that are told there, not the music, just the stories, the heartfelt conversations, things like that. And then, obviously leading up to the ceremony, which is your third scene, that a lot of videographers try to shoot all that with one camera. It can't be done. It can't be done. You need multiple angles. You need a lot of preparation. And something that a lot of people don't think of if you have a videographer there and you have a photographer there, they're going to be competing to get those shots. That's crazy. You need somebody in charge of the whole process. So what we do is I consider myself more of a creative director of the process. I'll bring camera people in. I'll coordinate with the photographer. I'll coordinate with other people that are trying to take pictures, or, you know, people that are trying to use microphone setups. Weddings constantly get ruined by too many people trying to use wireless microphones. The signals will cancel each other out. You could destroy a whole wedding that way if somebody's not there and directing the wedding.
Right.
So,
I can see. I've seen that happen before. It's not a pretty sight.
No, not at all. And then, so I take care of all that. Basically, I talk to the wedding coordinator. I talk to everybody involved. I make sure everything's directed so that you're getting the best quality film. And I call it a film because it's 60 to 90 minutes long. It's a feature film. Your wedding day is a feature film.
That is so awesome.
The fourth scene is more the traditional kind of reception stuff. So whatever's traditional to you, I don't know. Every wedding's different. When I was married, you know, Catholic services, very uptight, black tie. Okay, so that was our tradition, but that may not be your tradition. So I meet with everybody involved. I get to know exactly what the traditions are, exactly what you want captured, because after all, at the end of the day, it's the bride and groom story. So they have to have input throughout the whole process. But we go in ahead of time. We use stand-ins. We set the scene. We pretty much do a whole dry run without the bride and groom, but to their instruction, because we don't want to waste their time. But I need to know what angles to get. I need to know where to be and when to be there, especially for speeches, things like that. So this part of the video could be, you know, half-hour long scene, because there's a lot to get through. You got the speeches, you got the cake, you know, your traditional things. So that will be even longer than the actual service. And then the final scene is like the fun and the funny. That's what I like to call it. It's another montage. It's an extremely long montage. It'll take multiple songs to get through it, but it's all the fun and funny that happens. You know, your goofy uncle, your crazy aunt, you know, the cute
drunk
kids,
brother.
brother, whatever the case may be.
Right.
You know, we capture that too. And we set it separate in its own scene so that if you're sitting down and you just want to remember the day, you know, and you want to remember why you were in love, say 10 years later, you watch that video and, oh, that's right, we are madly in love. Because as you know, as marriage goes on, you forget sometimes.
You do. It's a great thing to watch just before you're thinking of a divorce.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So I set it separate so that you could watch that on its own. But at the same time, you know, it is part of the whole movie. It is part of the whole story.
So anywhere from businesses, people, weddings, when you say people, real quickly, because we're going to go 2 minutes before the break, and we're going to come back and talk further about some of the things. You got to check him out. His website is D5prod, PROD.com. Check him out there before we go to a break. And talked about the people that you mean, and like, you know, would it be someone like me personally, just not my business, or what would it be?
Well, when we're talking people, there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. There's something I like to call a legacy video. If you've had an incredibly interesting life, if you've just done it all and you lived all the way out, you want somebody to tell that story in a documentary style. And the reason is your own legacy. Like me personally, I was 16 years old when my first kid was born. Crazy, but true. At 17, I joined the military. I've had a very interesting life, and I've documented that life either through war journals or other things, and now I'm going through the process of shooting all that, because video's forever. Especially once it's on the web, it's there forever. And the internet isn't going anywhere, folks. 100 years from now, the internet will still be there, and those internet videos will still be there. So your family, your great-grandkids can look back on that and say, wow, my great-grandfather was awesome.
You know what? And everybody's awesome out there, and everybody has their own story. You don't have to think about that, because everybody has things in their family that are personal, whatever it is about yourself. I think that's wonderful. Check them out at D5prod, PROD.com. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk further about what it is that he does. And check him out at D5prod.com.
if I traded it all, if I could.
And we're back. We're talking with Mike Colvin, and he is the owner of Dimension 5 Productions. That's that's the5prod.com. Check him out while we're talking here. We were talking a little bit about weddings and the things that you do with your storytelling weddings and videos and that you do. Let's talk a little bit further about that.
Okay, well, I went through the basic process of the wedding. We also offer a service. It's called Your Story Documentary. And what this does, it's similar to a legacy documentary, but we interview friends and family, any number of friends and family, as many as we can. And we take old pictures, and we want to tell the story of from you first meeting to your wedding day. Your wedding day, obviously, is a standalone, and that's one thing. But we want to tell the story. You know, maybe it's 10 years before your wedding. What happened during those 10 years? What are the goods? What are the bads? What's the real story? And we want to really get into that, you know. And we do that by, you know, obviously formulating questions. We won't put anything you're uncomfortable with, but we'll sit down, formulate some questions together, and then we'll go ask your friends and family just to be uncanny and just talk about it. We'll edit all that together with pictures. I mean, it's a typical documentary. Everybody's seen a documentary. That's what it is, but it's about your relationship. And that's another service, you know, in addition to the wedding service that we offer. Now, obviously, there's a lot of other services we offer. Anything video related, we can do it. Internet video, the funny videos. We even, for our own sakes, work on a few creative projects every year. We have 3 movies planned for this year, and that's kind of my mental release. I tell everybody else's story, and then I'll tell my own story, too, when I can.
Well, that's awesome, because I absolutely love what it is that you're talking about and doing it, and especially for the people that are listening. Obviously, everyone, this is a great time of the year to also be coming on, because there's a lot of people that have just gotten, you know, engaged, right? Because it was the new year,
yeah, it's
the
heat of wedding season right now, from now till about June.
It is. And how fast would it be? Let's say someone's listening to this going, you know what, I would love something like that for my wedding, to do that for us. How fast would it be what's the turnaround time?
On the Friends and Family documentary, or?
Well, anything you want. Tell them. I don't know.
Well, there's a 3-stage editing process I use, and I do that so that I can keep whoever the client is involved in the editing process. Of course, I take a little creative license with my projects, but I want you to be happy. I want to make sure I'm on track for telling your story. So the first edit's basically a rough cut. It could take a couple weeks, depending on the amount of footage. Once I have that rough cut to you, either say, yes, I love the timing, the rhythm, I think it's working, or no, I want to blow it up. So let's say worst case scenario, you want to blow it up. I'll go right back to that first step. We haven't reached the second step yet. But once we're through the first process, the second edit's kind of more detail oriented. We're trying to make sure everything's in the right places. You like all the transitions. You like whatever graphics or animations I add to it. And then the third and final edit is just really you're crossing the T's and dotting the I's. So through the whole process, particularly with weddings, it could be 6 weeks to 2 months.
So does somebody need to start calling you now or getting on your website, checking you out, and probably, booking something as soon as possible to start working with you on what they want?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the sooner the better. And as close, with weddings in particular, as close to, you talking to the planner, I should be your next phone call, because I need to coordinate with that planner.
So, again, they would check him out on his website. It is d5prod.com. How'd you come up with all of this?
Just kind of years of doing different things. I used to own a production company called New Empire Production, and I strictly worked on documentaries. And I fast figured out that you're not going to make any money. I mean, it's about the art, but at the end of the day, you got to pay for your art somehow.
Right.
And that's when I kind of branched into the various other things. But I wanted to keep your story approach. I really think that if you engage people and you tell a story from beginning to end, they're going to watch it from beginning to end.
Okay. So going forward here, I understand that you can also do videos for real estate agents.
Right. Now, that one gets a little trickier. So you have a pretty static kind of 360 virtual tour thing that's been the
latest craze, and if you're not doing it, you're in trouble.
Well, you have that, but I wanted to take that even a step further. Now, of course, I do offer that, But I want to think more. Well, you can relate. You can probably remember the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Do you remember that show?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely love that show.
The Filthy
I'd love to
Rich.
see how all that worked, you know. And the tours of the houses were amazing. So that's what I want to do. If you have a really high-end listing, and obviously if you're selling a house for $250,000, the commission doesn't equal doing this. But if you have $1 million plus house, then spend the time. Let me go in there for a few hours. Let me shoot. Let me take the drone footage. Let me package it, and let me put a voiceover to it. It's like a guided tour. And it basically, you know, Lifestyles of Rich and Famous. And, you know, this house is this, and it's spread out on this many acres. And yeah, I'm taking video even driving up to the house because people want to know what's the neighborhood like. You're
Right.
not getting that in a virtual tour. But you will get it from me.
You won't get as much anyway, for sure.
Well, you could do, you know, Google Earth, I guess it is, the satellite footage, but who knows how old that is? Who knows what's happened? I mean, I will, right from the drive up to the driveway, you're getting, all right, well, this is my neighborhood. This is my drive. This is
Where you live, amongst the rich and famous.
Well, it puts the potential client of the real estate agent, it helps them visualize, this is my home. All right, and it's going to cut out a lot of the wasted time that real estate agents have to go through. My neighbor's real estate agent, he goes through it constantly. He's going on appointments that there's no chance for a sale there. It's just wasting his time. But if people can see up front and they see everything, and I mean everything, and they get the whole story of that house, you're going to get a warmer lead from it.
It would be also nice maybe if there's a lot of people out there that are real estate agents, and a lot of people out there do sell $1 million homes.
Oh, especially here, yeah.
Especially here, that maybe if you're listening to this and you're hearing all of this, maybe you just think about this, maybe collaborating more than one, creating a website just for that, you know, where you have everybody kind of getting in on it.
And certainly we can do that as well.
Absolutely. There should be no reason why, because that would be the story of all the homes here in Arizona.
And another real estate service.
Not all of them. I wish mine was, but it's not. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, mine neither. Another service I offer for real estate agents is if they're trying to sell new construction or concept homes. And this is real estate agents and builders. You don't have the house built yet, but you got a floor plan. And maybe you have a model house. You have something like that. I can do custom animations. And most builders will, like you probably noticed, most houses here are very similar, especially within a developed area.
Really?
I mean, your neighbor's house is the same as your house.
And they're all painted beige.
Exactly. So one of these concept arts, and they are kind of pricey, but one concept art can do a whole, I don't know, 1,000 houses, 2,000 houses. As many times as you use that blueprint, you can use that concept art to sell it. So that's something I do too. You can check that out on the website. I did a kind of a faux one. I came up with a house myself, did all the concept art for it, and you know, maybe someday I'll build it.
So you check it out at d5prod.com. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so real quick, because we are running out of time. It flies. It really flies. I want to talk about my creative works. We have 3 films in the works for this year. One's a comedy spoof on Star Trek. It should be really funny. I laugh when I read it, so it's pretty good. But the first one, the one that we have coming out right around March 30th, is called Resolution. And it's your proverbial deal with the devil. Basically,
how many people have done that?
Well,
raise your hand.
Well, everybody, really, because how I'm doing it is I'm mirroring it to your Fortune 500, your extreme corporate, kind of heartless, relentless guy. He's my devil. And just a regular guy that needs the money to survive. He is, I won't say angel, but he's my protagonist. And we have some interesting plot twists and turns. And what I'm really focused on when I'm telling, these stories or my short films is the story. I don't care about special effects. Yes, I will use them where I need them. But too often today, films are all about special effects. I think of Transformers. What a horrible, horrible movie from my standpoint, because there's no story. Yes, there's cool robots doing things. Where's the story? You know, when and I'll use the Star Wars example. When the original Star Wars came out, graphics weren't great. Special effects weren't great, but you know what was great? The story. And they didn't need all that. It still stands up today. And it's better than the new one, and I've seen them all. It's better than the new one, the original, because of the story. It's so often, everybody's worried about big budgets, and they're worried about, they're worried about the visuals. It's not about the visuals sometimes. Sometimes it's about the subtleties. It's about the stories. It's about the ebb and flow between characters.
So
and that's what I'm trying to put into all my films.
Not only your films, but also your business.
Well, absolutely. Everything's done with the kind of cinematic touch.
So anybody that's listening out there, if you're having a wedding, there is a story to be told about that within your family, within you. How about if you're just a personal person out there that just wants to leave a legacy? That's another one. I love the Service Explainer. That's also great. And you can check him out and his movies and all of this that he's doing at D5PROD.com.